Oh, somebody's got a bone to pick. Somebody here on the show.
Pick that bone.
Oh, yeah.
Bring it. I got a feeling I know who it's about, and guess what? Bring that shit on.
You think it's about you?
I do.
You're right.
Yeah.
Oh, what'd you do?
It's a fake news thing, I'm telling you.
Yeah. So people are upset because of the fake news thing. Fern wrote in, said, I got a bone to pick with Jay Bird. One thing has been bothering me for the last couple of weeks, and today pushed me over the edge. Jay Bird keeps saying fake news all the time like Trump. Well, Trump uses his to discredit news agencies that he doesn't like. And when Jason calls everything fake news that doesn't go his way, it's undermining the audience and essentially making it okay to say this whenever things don't go your way. A quick online search shows that Jason is a registered Republican and apparently a Trump fan based on his fondness of fake news.
No, that's not true. That's first of all, that's definitely not true.
You're a Republican?
I'll tell you exactly what happened.
That's very surprising.
When I was like, that's not an accurate thing.
A quick search shows Jason is a registered Republican.
I can tell you that I'm definitely not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat either. I'm an independent. That's from fucking high school right there. And my girlfriend at the time helped me sign up for it. No, let me go ahead and address the fake news thing. It's a fucking joke, people. Lighten the fuck up. It's it. We're a show that we're trying to do content here. It's a goofy rap song. It's all it is. I don't really think everything Kevin in Virginia is fake news. It's a fucking joke.
And not everybody hates it. G. Pitt on Twitter said fake news is the newest hit. Put it in the rotation.
Guys, don't take anything I said. Come on. Please. I knew people would get their fucking pussies hurt.
Well, you do support grabbing them in the pussy. I know you do.
Oh my gosh, I love that. You got me. Oh, you Googled me. No, it's not accurate.
It comes up who you registered as?
Yeah, but I'm not a Republican though, and I'm not a Democrat. I'm
Yeah,
like,
where do you find that information? Does it say?
I'm an independent, and that's not an accurate thing. It may be accurate if you Google it, but that was when I was 18 years old.
Here's another one that is kind of calling out Jaybird. Jerby is wrong, it says.
Oh, man, you're just getting it today.
Look, sometimes you got to dabble
yeah.
in some controversy around here.
Jerby, bend over.
It was getting a little boring around these parts.
Uh-huh.
Spice this shit up.
That's from Jason, sent the email to me. It says, Dear McMurder, I'd like to take issue with something Jerby said on yesterday's After the Show podcast.
Oh, boy.
He said, nobody cares about my love life. Well, fact is, everyone cares.
See, I told you, bitch.
Virginia was absolutely right. The people want to hear every single detail about all the radio poon you're getting.
Yes.
Please.
You're interesting.
Yes.
We like it.
Please step it up in 2017. Have more sex and share the stories. Do it for us married guys that live vicariously through you. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.
And get some poon.
This guy writing this email probably hasn't touched a vagina in weeks. He's married. He wants to live through you. You got the poon flying at you. You're ducking poon.
Yep.
You're hiding from poon.
Yep.
I know your act.
Preach.
Come on, I'm not in any poon right now.
Tell us.
There ain't no poon pies.
If there was, would you tell us?
I would. I'd tell you.
All right.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to put up a surveillance on your ass.
Yeah, well, I'm calling you out on all your bluffs. You're going to kidnap me. You're going to surveil me. Bring it on.
Here is somebody that's actually in your corner, Jaybird. Heather from the Pizzle. She said, I'm defending Jerby with having a date at Chuck E. Cheese. I've had a date there, and I had so much fun. Their pizza is not that bad.
I agree.
In my opinion, I thought it was a very original idea and cute at the time because most people wouldn't think about going there for a date. So don't be embarrassed, Jerby, for taking your dates to Chuck E. Cheese.
I'm not.
If you find the right girl, she will think it's cute and not creepy. Now, for all the other kids there, well, ...
Are there any emails that don't involve me?
This one.
Yeah, that fake news song really got people riled. That was the purpose of that song, was to rile people.
It worked.
I love it.
Fired up today, man.
I love it, too.
Steve sent an email. He said, I heard Jaybird saying several times that Kevin is the boss of the show. Well, does that mean that Kevin has the power to fire somebody on the show? And if so, how close has Kevin come to firing somebody on the show?
He probably could if he wanted to.
I don't know. We're under contract. I think there would be a battle there. I think he could recommend it, but I think if you wanted to fight that out, you could, because
I think if he recommended it to management, and I think then they wouldn't renew our contract the next time.
possibly, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which makes me want to kiss his ass a little more.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna be here for a minute though.
Yeah.
He's gonna put up with us.
To be honest with you, I've never even thought about it, so I don't even know what the answer would be on that.
I mean, at this point, we've been together for so long. It'd have to go really south for you to ever.
Oh yeah, and
No one's going to do anything that bad.
No way.
no,
It's just not going to happen. It would have to be like,
Kevin gets a show with Josh Cohen, and they leave us in the fucking dust. That's what's gonna have to, and what's going to happen.
no.
No.
Yeah, no, it's yeah. I don't honestly. I don't even know what the answer is on that. And the way that I would look at it is, we're such a cohesive unit, KVJ, that if we had that kind of turmoil where I was in there saying, you got to fire them, it looks bad on everybody, I think. And it looks bad on me. And it's just saying, okay, wow, because this one unit is breaking up. I mean, I think that's really the show. I mean, if, that I have kind of thought about, like, what would you do if, like, somebody, like, died on the show?
Well, if they die, then you can still go on. You can still pick up the pieces.
Yeah.
I think if one gets fired, then it's just a totally different dynamic.
If one of us left the show and then the other two continue to try to do a show locally, I think that turns people off. I think some people would be like, "Fuck this."
But
Fired,
if one
yeah,
went
no.
to heaven or
different,
wherever,
different.
then it's different.
Wherever.
Depends on who dies.
We're all not going to heaven.
She says yes. Not all of us are. No, we're not going to be reuniting this show.
I like how she had to think about that.
In the
we're
afterlife.
not going to heaven.
Yeah.
Someone's going to hell.
Yeah, no, yeah. There will not be an afterlife KVJ show.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, then I don't know. And honestly, I would, as far as I've gotten with that in my thinking, I'd have to hit pause. I would hit the pause and I would be like, okay, if something happened to one of the K, the V, or the J, I think you'd have to hit pause. And I think you'd have to really sit down and get the vibe of the city and the listeners and everything else and just say, because I know I wouldn't want to come back. I could come back with a different version of the show that feels a little bit different, but I couldn't come back with a show that's not as good. And if that were the case, and if I didn't feel like we could do as good of a show with one of us gone and a replacement piece we put in or whatever we decided to do, I think it'd probably be like, because I know how I feel about shows that come back and they're not as good.
Right.
Like, I wouldn't want to tarnish the legacy and the memory of what we did as KVJ. Then I'd probably say, you know what? It'd probably just be best to move on to something else and leave that lie what it was.
That just happened to the big show. Opie and Anthony, they were together since the 90s, and then they were, I mean, close as far as to their listeners. And then Anthony got fired, and they had a lot of drama behind the scenes. And their audience, it was almost like a civil war within the audience. Half of the people were like, "Fuck Opie," and I mean, it turns ugly even with the people that listen.
Well, and then you had Opie with Jim Norton, and then Jim Norton left the show.
They even turned on that because they was almost like, all right, we love Anthony. Now you're trying to go on without the second person that made up that show.
I don't know the inner workings of that show. So what, is Opie just a total prick to work with, or did it coincidentally happen that they kept breaking apart?
Opie's the one that gets all the hate on that show. Even the listeners, they don't think he's funny. They think he's the one that just, ruins everything. That's generally the hate that he gets. And Anthony was more of the funny dude on the show.
Okay.
So when he left, that it kind of,
People were like, wait a minute.
Well, it changed the whole dynamic of the show.
That was my good part.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so, and I've seen other shows that have kind of gone through that, and I wouldn't want to go through that. I would rather come back and do something completely different. It's like, look, I'm not trying to redo KVJ. What we did there was special in its own time. It took all those players to do that kind of show. I would come back with something like, if I did even broadcasting anymore, I'd do something radically different.
Yeah, you'd have to, I think.
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
What are you going to do? Come in here and try to do this again? And then one of us is,
What you're describing, though, that's honestly parts down in Miami. That's how I felt. I felt like we were doing a version of our show that wasn't
we were
honest and true. And it felt like what you're talking about.
Yeah, we tried to comply a little bit with management, try to make it work, but it was square peg, round hole, and we could tell it just wasn't going to be a fit pretty quickly. And the biggest relief was when it was like, hey, we're both married for a year, and then
we were drunk one night.
Yeah.
We eloped in Vegas.
Right. And the good news was, it wasn't like 18 years you were stuck with this thing. It was just, okay, we just had to write it out. One of the best days of relief and
was fired.
Well, it was when they just said, hey, look, I mean, it was something, it was mutual. I mean, they knew we weren't going to re-sign. And they knew that we didn't want to stay there, and
we knew they didn't want us.
that they didn't want us,
And they
we
were
just knew
also-
it was just bad.
Well, the guy that had hired us quit the first week, and so the new team came in, and they just didn't like us.
And I also think, too, that company was getting a little sick of having KVJ Nation show up in the parking lot with bats and threatening to blow up mailboxes.
Yeah. So that was, and thank God, that went the way that it did, and we're able to get free and come to RMF, and they give us, the freedom we need to do the show that we want, which is great.
Motherfuckers.
Yeah, and it's great, and I love the fact that you can hear us in Miami now, and that's fantastic. That was one of my top goals, and I had told people in Broward for 10 years, I'm like, we will get down there. We will get to the point where you're not going to get static trying to get our show. Somebody just texted into me and said, another example. They said Kid Craddock isn't as good after his passing. I was actually thinking about that show.
I think about that show a lot.
It's very unique in that there's this guy, if you're not aware, his name was Kid Craddock, one of the pioneers in our industry, and amazingly talented, creative, funny guy, everything you'd say, good businessman as well. And 3 years ago now, he died. They had one of their charity events. It was at a golf course, and he has a heart attack there and doesn't even make it to the hospital and dies. And here he has this show, and he had different versions of it. His show had rotated out a lot more than ours had.
Producers had come in and out.
yeah.
Kelly had been with him for a while.
Yeah, he had in a sense a KVJ, but they had an extra 2 that were on the side. So they had a real full show. They had 5 people total.
Sammy Cruz over at IRK worked on the show with Kid Craddock. I don't know if you knew that or not.
He was one of the earlier producers.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, he worked with him, I think, before he was on. He's on KISS now. I think he worked with him at his even before he was on KISS, which is where he's been forever. And I know a ton of people that have worked on that show and been through it. So I'm kind of in a sense connected. And I know some of the people that are still on the show
and the behind the scenes of what it's like.
It's
so super interesting.
And the amazing thing about that, I mean, you say it's not as good, and there's no way really it could, because Kid was so creative and so funny that he's a piece you can't replace. And his name is on the show, and he was the host.
And he was genius in an instant. He was effortlessly super smart at just coming up with the most creative, funny shit.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable to just watch his little mind work.
Everybody that's like you guys, they speak of him like the guy walked on water.
We got to know him personally. We were lucky enough to go to these morning show conferences when we were younger. And when he was middle-aged. And he would kind of lead these conferences, and he would be teaching the young people.
He'd be cool.
He'd be showing you stuff, and he'd be, all the while, it's like he's doing a stand-up act, but he's really just doing it off the dome. And he's coming up with ideas and fun things you can do, like going up and down Bourbon Street. He was like, okay, you're a paparazzi guy. You're a famous football player. You're this. You're just a fan on the street who recognized the football player. And so he put this whole thing together, and it was just, it was awesome to watch his genius just work raw like that.
One of the minds, if I had to say, if you could swap minds with anybody in the industry, it would have been Craddock. It's just
you'd rather have Craddock than Stern?
Those are honestly, no lie, those are probably my top 2. And Stern's probably number 1, and Craddock's probably number 2. On if I could swap out the Kev brain with somebody else in the industry, I've got a few, and then a buddy of mine, Dave Ryan, I'd probably put at number 3.
I'd love Dave Ryan, man. I think that guy's so good.
Yeah, very, very just creative, amazing minds.
A little out there too. Dave Ryan I love that.
Yeah, we're very similar. Dave was kind of my inspiration for getting into radio. He was on Columbus radio station when I was just first getting into the business, and I didn't have any. A lot of people you talk to in radio, going, I knew when I was 8 years old, sitting in my bedroom and playing records.
I had my ham radio, and I was...
Yeah, I wasn't that way. I never really thought anything about radio. I didn't, I listened to it like anybody else listened to it. I wasn't in love with broadcasting, all that. I just kind of stumbled into it accidentally. So when I was starting to consider it in college, I had locked into Dave Ryan, and I loved the creativity he was able to use. And so love him because of that. But there's no way Craddock's show can be as good. But to the testament of the people that are still there on his show, Kelly and Big Al, and what they've kept together. They've been successful for 3 years and are staying like pretty much. I think the ratings are the same, if not even higher. So I know you may not say it's as good, but I mean the ratings aren't taking a dip, and it's one of the biggest. People in the industry can't believe it. It's phenomenal.
It's one of those things where people form a habit. And then habits are hard to break. We all know that. So if you form that habit, Kelly's still there, Big Al's still there. You're like, all right, I'm going to still be there.
Well, the thing is, these are things that annoy me because I've seen comments before about that show. If you are a fan of that show and then you're giving them hate or shit that it's not the same because Kid Craddock died, you're a fucking you're a fly-by fan in my opinion.
People do that?
Yes, absolutely. The show sucks without Kid. It's not the same. You think they want that? They're gonna go down and read those comments.
It's probably no, but they've done such a good job at everybody. Everybody had to elevate their game. And I think that's really what happened. And JC, who is kind of like the host now, since Kid is not there to do that part of it, I got to hang with him a couple years ago in Chicago for a while. And he's just a cool dude, good guy. So
that's not an easy job for that man to do, to fall into those footsteps.
My goodness.
Did you guys ever get into any of the financial discussions?
No,
that ain't the Bronx game.
Oh, but I know it's not the Bronx game, but it's very much my game.
No.
Because I know exactly what Kelly was making when Kid was around.
What was she making?
It was very intriguing to me because I thought it was interesting how the pie was cut up. I'm very much into...
How much? How much was it?
$150.
Okay. Yeah, I've found out a lot what the Stern staff makes too. Yeah,
it's very interesting.
It's pretty
to
fast.
me.
Well, you think a show like Stern, you think everyone's making seven figures, and they're not.
No. What's fascinating when you look at some shows like that is the percentages, because you've got one pie piece, and then who makes what percentage of that pie.
I'm curious because I think
the Stern's piece is big.
It's
of course. But of the pie that is Kid Craddock's show now, how much is going to Kelly? How much is going to Al? Because I think without those two, it doesn't happen.
Oh no.
So I think
agree.
they should get more than JC.
Yeah, I'm sure it works out that way. I mean, it's probably slightly bigger, but I mean, it's a lot more equal of a pie now that Kid's not there. I mean, Kid had a nice slice.
Kid had a huge salary.
Yes, he did.
Okay, Fred Norris, the sound effects guy from the Stern show. What do you think he makes? What's his net worth?
Based on what Stern is making. He should be making, I would say, at least $500,000 a year. Probably, I would put him at about $1 million. 800,000 to $1 million a year.
Okay, so his net worth. I only got the net worth.
Yeah, it's hard to tell because net worth
could be a lot of assets.
It could be a lot of assets. It could be, you could make smart decisions or bad decisions.
Yeah.
I always like to know salary.
It looks like his salary is $6 million a year.
$6 million,
and he's worth 16. He should get $6 million.
Whoa.
He's been there from the beginning, pretty much. That guy deserves that.
But that's a lot. I didn't realize it was that high.
And I know for a fact Robin makes more than Fred. Robin makes a good chunk of change.
Yeah, and
how much does Gary make?
He makes a lot of money too, because there was an episode where Artie accidentally got Gary's paycheck.
Really?
He's like, "Holy shit, you're making more than me, Gary."
That's funny.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, I'm glad to hear that because they all should. I mean, I'd hate to think that Stern's taking 90% of the pie and everybody else is fighting over crumbs. So that's good. And from what I've heard, Stern's very generous. As he has a huge salary, everybody else does well too.
Baba Booey, here's his net worth. He makes his net worth is $15 million. They don't have his salary on there.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Good
to
for
be
those
worth
guys.
$15 million out of radio,
and that's probably not even everything either. You know what I mean? There's probably other shit that's caught up in there.
Yeah, the person sent me a text about Craddock said, "Look, not hating, just missed his expertise." And absolutely, I mean, there's no way. Like I said, it's you have maybe arguably the greatest mind, if not one of the greatest radio minds ever. Then it's
I wasn't saying he was hate.
No,
I'm talking about the mean comments on social media. People are just assholes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, he said, Kelly, Big Al, JC, and Jenna, they've held it together very well. Yeah, it's just different with that kid.
I hope Kelly's making more than $150.
Well, I mean,
that's all I can say now.
I'm sure she is. Yeah,
I'm sure she is, and you know what? She put in the time.
I give them all the credit. Imagine the Bronc dying that we have to fucking come in here and do the VJD show.
I don't know. I've heard that show.
It ain't that good. We're all going to be out of a job.
When Kevin was out, we would do a show without him, and it's just sucked.
No, well, it's tough. I mean, it's just you've got different dynamics on everything. I mean, it's tough when any of you guys are out and we hear about it and we're like,
Yeah, you're fucking going to Mardi Gras. That show's not the same without Virginia. Well, we didn't tell her to leave.
We know.
I invited y'all motherfuckers to come to Mardi Gras.
Come
you never
on.
come.
Kevin's gonna let us go to Mardi Gras.
Kevin, come to Mardi Gras.
I'm just kidding.
We can do a show from down there. I'll find us a studio at Mardi Gras to do a show.
We do not have the equipment to do that.
No, we don't have the equipment to be in West Palm.
No, we don't. Unfortunately, we could do a podcast from there, but we can't do the regular show.
No, I got a satellite studio that one time.
I won't get into the technical, but we can't do it.
Oh.
Yeah.
You guys shut down publicly. I always like it when it's not me that gets shut down.
Well, you can't. It's like, the people work at iHeart, they have a much better system that's conducive to them doing those kind of like shows that way.
And don't you know the Bronx? Yeah. I've worked with him for 13 years, and one thing I know for a fact, he fucking hates doing radio shows on the road.
I did it when we were at Cox, and it was at a non-Cox property at WWL Studios in New Orleans.
You can beam in one voice, but the control board. That's the issue. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
My man's got to feel comfortable.
iHeart has got a system with their deal where since they're all on the same network, they flip it up in whatever studio they go into, the whole control board becomes like their home studio. That's why they can do it.
When we go to Orlando, like the trip and all that and all the accommodations were great, but to actually do a show away from the studio, I don't think you really like it that much.
No,
it's a
you
little
can't get
tweaky.
the phones that way, and we changed so much on the fly. If people knew like what was going through my mind, I'm moving this here, putting that there to make everything fit the right way. When you don't have the control board, then you're way out of time. It's way out. This is wrong. That's happening, and you have to physically break down and be like, hey, Denny's, will you take those two songs, put that after the stop set? Will you move that up there? We got to move that first.
Okay.
And then, so you'd be doing that all verbally.
And furthermore, to pile on as well.
I get
such
it.
a terrible idea.
Okay, so here's a secondary idea.
Okay.
Why don't we...
Nah, it's not going to work.
Shut the fuck up. Sorry. Why don't we all go to Mardi Gras and then do a podcast?
What's going to happen
from Mardi Gras? Instead of me just being out for 3 days, all of us are out for 3 days.
So we're just going to run best of back here? I don't know, KVJ Nation, they really want that? Nah.
Take less time at Christmas and take a little 3 day. It's 3 days.
Mama, I know you're going to get mad at me. I know you want to take less time at Christmas, but that is the time where I want to take more. Like, we have a different philosophy on the Christmas.
All right, I'll go fuck myself in the corner then.
No, that's not what I want. That's not what I want.
Give me one of your butthole donuts.
Take as many butthole donuts as you. I want to go. I would love to go. I just don't.
You know what? Invitation rescinded.
I know how the Bronx is. He's bringing up a lot of good points.
You're not wanted.
Well, there's reasons behind it. It's like, we would love to go. New Orleans is like one of my favorite cities. I love New Orleans. I don't get there nearly enough.
Because I remember one time we went to Orlando, and it's a new studio, and Kevin couldn't figure out a piece of equipment, and now he's like, can't figure out the equipment. That's like 10 minutes before the show.
Yeah.
My boy's not in the zone.
Yeah.
He backhands me.
I get it. I'm going to backhand you.
Let me see. So that's pretty much the end of Steve's stuff there. Nick in Alabama says, what the fuck? 2 weeks, no sudden death? Better be because Jaybird is editing KVJ Cribs. March is almost over. Love you guys.
Oh, he's on your ass.
Is that the guy?
Nobody's taped Cribs at my house. Have they come to your house, Kevin?
Well, when they send an email in like that, it would allude that I'm not doing anything for the show. Sorry, bro. I got other shit I got to do that Kevin's making me do. Mm-hmm. But in all honesty, do you guys want to do that for this April? April would actually be a great time to do it.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
Kevin's into it.
Yeah.
I'm totally into it. I love it. I told you that.
Well, me and Denny's is already shot, so yours too has to be shot.
And on the sudden death question, the sudden death, there are a lot of segments that we have that we do now. And I like the way that it is that, nothing is really necessarily, other than the No Name Movie Game, we don't have a lot of stuff that's set in stone. And Drunk Girl, we still do at the same time every week.
If we don't have a killer punishment for sudden death, we don't do it. Because then we'll get emails, y'all are fucking lame.
Well, we've done it before where even kind of going in there knowing this might not be that good, and then it falls flat. We take that hard.
Well, we try to always just say, okay, what kind of a better segment can we do? And if we feel like we've got this bit that it's just better. Let's not do a segment just to do a segment.
Yeah, and sudden death is a bit we all do love. We do love it. I don't want people to think we don't love it.
Every week we're like, okay, what can we do this week? And if we're like, nah, it's just okay.
It is the most sweat-producing bit, the most nerve-wracking bit, I think, of the whole week for everybody.
And by the way, I love it that we have got more back to having things float throughout the show and not have it always be at one time. I think that's a great move.
Yeah, no, I think it allows you to do better content that makes more sense.
Well, also
it's quality weighted,
and it also allows people, if you always do one segment at a certain time and that person only drives for 10 minutes, they're only going to get that one thing. I like a little variety.
Mm-hmm. Let me see. Regarding the ATS podcast, Markella said, I love Amy Schumer, and I've seen her live before. I watched the new special on Netflix.
Yes, and someone sent me a comment too. I was not at all saying Amy Schumer's not a good comedian. I just know that she's gotten a lot of hate in the last year and a half because she's been outspoken about certain things.
Markella says it was awful. It was boring and generic. I was disappointed.
Really?
Wow.
She's loved her.
And nothing to do with politics, just performance.
That's interesting.
So that's what she had to say about that. Got and heard this a ton. This text came in today. Says, I pick up your show on my cell phone because I live in Melbourne. And yesterday you were talking about Schmidt's deodorant. My laptop must have heard you because now the advertisements are all over my Facebook page. And I've never heard of this product before. Our computers, they are listening.
They got you.
Yeah, it really is. I was talking to a buddy of mine that I met up with on Monday. And he was like, yeah, same thing. He was saying that. I said, man, we talk about this all the time on our show. And I just saw this today. WikiLeaks claims that the CIA had the ability to bug iPhones even if their operating systems have been deleted and replaced. So, I mean, it's almost like there's no way if you've got that thing, somebody can find a way to listen in on you.
You're screwed.
And that is the biggest thing that advertisers and marketing people are trying to get right now is a lot of information on people. That's what they want because they want to be able to do that targeted advertising. That's the biggest thing right now. Saying we want to be able to give them what they want wherever they are, and that's what it is. And we'd probably be so angry if we realized how much of our privacy we really are giving up and how much they are listening and what they get. Because you're right, it can't be a coincidence. Happens time and time again, we hear that. Somebody said, not sure if you guys will get this, but referencing Kevin talking about his mother-in-law in the dent in her car. Last night, if you missed the story on the regular show, my mother-in-law comes home and she's like, hey, I got these two guys that when I was leaving work, they saw that I had a dent in my car and they said they'd fix it. So they followed me home and they're outside and it's raining now and they won't be able to complete the work. So
they want to know if they can come in and sit down.
Well, they want to know if they could just leave their car and then take my car and then they'll bring it back when they're done.
Sounds like such a scam.
And
yeah.
I'm like, no. I'm like, definitely do not let them do that. And so I came out of the bedroom and I just kind of found some more busy work to do on the computer sitting there and just kind of like kept an eye on it. And they were like going, just, drive with us to a parking garage. We just need to find some place dry that we can, fix this and, get the whole thing going. I told her, I said, get their contact information and say, look, when I got some free time over the weekend, then we can meet up someplace and you can fix it if you still want to stay with this game. But, you get thrown in these situations. You're in South Florida. You hear about what's going on in the world.
Scammy.
Looking at these two dudes. They're from New York. I mean, not to like typecast or anything like that, but, they didn't have the Florida look. You're just like going, okay, it's an out of state. Everything they got is out of state. So
you said they look like the two burglars from Home Alone.
They really did. They had that going on. And again, not to like always typecast, but they're standing out on my front porch as it's pouring down rain, smoking, and so smoke's coming in the door. And I'm very sensitive to smoke smell now, so it's gotten very uncozy. And
I do not want the smell of cigarettes in my house.
But I know that time period, like right when you're about to go to bed, you got about an hour, maybe hour 15 to kind of watch a little TV, maybe watch
just trying to wind down. For me, it's like my mind and all that kind of stuff. You got to ramp down and get to a place of relaxation so you get calm and you can get to sleep. And
Zen Kev.
Right. I need to get turned into Zen Kev because I'd be like this all day. Yeah.
But that would be
feral
totally...
cat Kev.
And
that throws you out of it.
So now I got to ramp it back up because I got to be in case I get jumped on my front porch and these guys storm my house and
you got to be feral cat Kev.
Now I got to go.
And look, dude, that still may happen. You still may get jumped. I think they're casing your place.
Those guys could absolutely be casing your place.
Well, a couple of emails that came in. This was one text says it was a scam. They usually target the elderly or women. They would have taken the car, and a lot of times they're gypsies. They may come back, different men, and use another scam, such as spraying outside for ants or something like that, to distract the person out of the house, while another person goes in and quickly takes jewelry. Hopefully when they saw Kevin, they crossed the address off their list. And yeah, so I've got the license plate of the car and the make and the model and all that kind of good stuff. And
But it's probably a stolen car.
Yeah, probably.
I don't even know, but yeah, but then like I had said, I kept walking out and the front door was unlocked. Like one time I come out and the front door is wide open. Like, and I'm just like,
guys,
what are we doing?
Why is
I'm
that
like,
man holding Cannon?
And I told Cannon, I looked him in the face, I'm like, keep checking this door. Make sure this door is locked. And I came back out again, the door is unlocked. I'm like, Cannon, like, after what just happened, like, what else do we want to do? Be like, hey, come on in.
Come on in, burglars.
Like, I'm trying to get I can't stay up because I'm now having to stay up to guard my home because I don't know. And now, every night, there's always something. Like, every night I'm trying to get to bed at a decent hour, so I feel great and rested for this. This is the kind of fuckery that happens on a daily basis. It's always some kind of thing like this. And so now I got it in his head. He keeps checking the door. So the door's unlocked and then I'm in bed. What is going on now? So I had just started to doze off. I get up. Cannon, what's going on? Why'd you lock me out? It's my mother-in-law, and now Cannon had seen that she kept, I don't know, wandering outside.
She was going in and out, probably unloading stuff.
I don't know but every time she goes, I don't know where she was going to market or whatever,
So
but she leaves the front door open every time.
So Cannon locked it because you yelled at
Yeah,
him.
you told him to do it.
And now she's yelling at him in there, and I'm like, fuck sleep,
Shit that.
Right. I'm like, this just isn't going to happen. So that was last night. And yeah, so you never know. So I guess I just keep an eye out. And then now you're like, now the damage is done. What can we do? But somebody did send in, going, I think it's really, fucked up that you're talking about this. These are probably just two guys who don't have a shop that are trying to make a living and this and that.
Someone's offended again.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you always get both sides of it.
Get in line.
Right.
Get in line.
And it's like, look, I hope they are legit. But I wouldn't recommend for anyone out there. And I mean, obviously, it's my wife's mom. So you can kind of do the math and get what her age is. And I would not recommend anyone finding guys who mark you after you walk out of work saying, hey, we want to come fix the dent and let me follow you home to your home. I wouldn't recommend that to anyone, and I'm sorry.
You don't think it's a good idea to have two male strangers follow you to your home that you just met in a parking lot? That's a cause for alarm?
Yes, and I'm sorry. So if that makes you mad and think I'm taking bread off somebody's table, fuck you.
I love it, Brock.
Well, I mean, that's just, it's stupid. It's like,
it's
no,
so dumb.
You don't do it
Get
that way.
mad at some other shit, please.
Well, yeah, because if I recommend that, somebody's going to wind up murdered. Be like, hey, thanks.
Thanks.
My sweet mother was killed in her driveway last night because you thought it'd be a good idea to,
Kevin said not to judge that man.
Yeah.
No, I'm judging.
Just don't do it. That's not the way to do it.
And I don't know if asking women in the parking lot if they can come over to fix their car is legit work. Doesn't sound legit to me.
And if they are legit, maybe they got their tools and they can't afford a shop and this and that, whatever. You're hustling, good for you. But yeah, if that's the case, say, meet me somewhere else and get the strongest guy with a gun to come and do it that way. But I wouldn't recommend doing it.
I'm just fired up because they're going against the Bronx, and a shot towards the Bronx, a shot towards us.
Veronica's writing us saying, I am writing you because I'm outraged. On Saturday the 18th, my car was stolen from in front of my house in Royal Palm.
Oh, no.
That sucks.
And yeah, what really sucks for her is that, I feel violated. I'm out of sorts. I'm a single mother of 2 young kids. And because these folks took my vehicle, I'm now the one that's punished. And I have to go out and try to find a new vehicle for myself. I live paycheck to paycheck. This isn't fair. I want people to feel the way that I feel right now.
If she wants, she can, and I'm not even kidding you, she can borrow my truck when I don't need it. I can take an Uber to work. If she needs it during the daytime, she can, not that she's going to want my truck.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty gross.
But if she needs to play, I just got new air conditioning in there.
Oh,
so,
luxurious.
if she needs it for work, she can totally do that.
Right. Yeah, I hear you. I'll pass that on. But yeah, you feel
for real,
and you do. Yeah, when you are the victim of crime, you feel violated.
Especially if there's nothing that can be done about it. You've worked to build. I know it's material possessions, but when you're working your balls or your tits off or something.
Did the cops come out and take a police report? Hopefully, they're at least looking for it. I hope.
Yeah, I think they're doing all that stuff, but a lot of times these guys are good. They've got a system to turn a car over really quickly.
And a car, that's major, man. That right there messes up your life. Mm-hmm. It's not like, someone came in and stole a TV. They stole your fucking transportation.
Awful.
Yeah, somebody from the 904 sent me a text and said, Kevin, I used to have the same problem with a lot of people knocking on my door and my door being left unlocked all the time. So I bought a Ring doorbell that has a camera.
Oh.
I got that with the Xfinity Home that I have. But it says, and I bought a keypad electronic lock that automatically locks itself after 30 seconds. That's a good idea, yeah, because it's just all the time. People don't have the same sense of security in my home. And I'm like, why is this door, like, wide open? Why is it unlocked? I'm like, come on.
They don't have enough fear in them.
No, but trust me, that fear, you need to have that fear.
That fear, I think sometimes will keep you safe.
I overdo it.
Because you'll take precautions and you'll actually be aware of your surroundings. When you're just like, walking through the parking lot, looking at your phone at midnight, that's when they get you.
Yeah, I mean, there's at least, and I shit you not, there's at least 4 times a week I really, truly think I'm about to get murdered. That fear, man, keeps you on your toes. I ain't been murdered yet.
He's right.
I think it helps me.
Look at him. No murder.
No murder?
Alive as shit.
Saw this list, and I thought it was kind of interesting. You talk about things that you're afraid of. I know, Virginia, one of your biggest fears is being like a victim of crime.
I think about it all the time. I think about like what I would do. I sleep with a machete on my nightstand. I will stab a bitch.
That's fun. I always think about how would I handle it? If someone really broke in and I was face to face with this big ass guy that could clearly murder me, what do I do other than piss my pants and cry?
Because that's not really going to be effective.
No, he's going to love that. He probably loves that I'm all soiled.
I saw this list. I thought it was pretty dead on. In fact, if you would have asked me what, Kev, are some of your biggest fears, things you go through, and I'm not talking about like afraid of heights and snakes and that kind of nonsense, but just in life. There were 7 that were listed. I'm like, yeah, you know what? Pretty much this would probably be my list. And they were saying this, for men, some of the biggest fears of men, and maybe women have a different one. One of them, am I a good dad?
Damn.
Or if you don't have kids, will I be a good dad? Is one of the top fears of men.
What's Cannon's teacher's name?
We had our guests in here earlier. They were talking about, because Cannon goes to the same school as one of their cousins goes.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, Cannon goes to that school too? What's his teacher's name? And Kevin's like,
Gosh, I think it's Miss Jackson, but I'm not sure. But
sorry, Miss
then
Jackson.
I just think
Sorry, Miss Jackson.
I think I'm just thinking Outcast.
Because I think we played Outcast earlier. I think it's on your brain.
I don't know.
Thought I had it for a while. Yeah. No, I do, and that is one of the biggest things. And I'm sitting there, and this is, awful. I felt last night, I'm sitting there and Ken and I are watching a little bit of Iron Fist, and, we like the superhero stuff. I like the Flash better because, Iron Fist, I'm like, there's a couple words in there that they say I don't like.
Okay.
And I'm like,
They did some S-bombs.
Yeah, here and there. It's not too bad, but, I mean, there's maybe a couple, like, every episode, and I'm just like, should I let him be watching this? Yeah. So you wrestle with that kind of stuff. And then, they're part of the plot line is like, heroin. The bad guys are trying to like infuse the city with heroin. And so, we talk about it. He's like,
Daddy, what's heroin?
Yeah, he was asking about that. And, it's interesting. He's grown up a lot faster, maturity wise. And I'm going to have to treat him differently than his twin brother and sister because he has his twin brother and sister and they're 10 years apart.
Do you think
they taught him all kinds of stuff that he probably wouldn't have learned that early?
Yeah. And there's stuff too. And I get on them and I'm upset. Like I'm checking his phone and I look and I'm always checking to see who's calling this and that. He's got his little phone stuff so he can stay in touch with his brother and sister and all that kind of stuff, and he always wants to watch the Netflix, and it's his own thing to watch stuff. And I go and I'm like, I see his contact list and he's listed as asshole poopy shithead, and I'm like, what? And it says that. I'm like,
yeah,
what
I hear
is this?
You.
And his sister gets in there and changes his name to asshole shitty poophead or whatever it was. And I'm like, would you stop using bad words around the fucking 8-year-old?
Well, what it's gonna do, it's gonna make Cannon turn. If he starts doing that, then he looks like an asshole now.
They're creating a darker child,
right?
Yeah,
and that's not what you want. Trust me, a kid so impressionable and so young. becomes his surroundings, and
Yeah.
you're creating a darker child by doing that.
See, I think that's different than, like, okay, that is different than you accidentally dropping an S-bomb in front of Cannon.
Absolutely.
To me, that's almost like teaching. You can call people those names. And
Yeah.
at that age, you don't want to be doing it. It looks weird when a kid's a brat. When a kid starts calling people, even if they're kidding, if a kid calls an adult an asshole, it feels wrong.
It does, and it is. And it's like, and I keep telling him, I'm like, stop. I'm like, the kid's 8.
Your daughter's not afraid enough of you. Because
Well-
if my daughter pulled that fucking shit with
I know.
Rocco, she would know what the fuck was up.
She knows the
Oh, I've seen Virginia getting Mag's
I
ass
know.
before.
Well, the only punisher in our family is Kim, and she knows that. And I've tried
Is
to
her
punish.
sensitivity not to calling the child a shitty poop head?
She won't do nearly. She won't do anything about it. Like, that will be effective. Like, I will come in, and then I've had that before where I'm like, here's the deal, and I laid down the law, and I got trumped by the queen, and that's a big problem we got in our marriage, and a big fight that we always have.
It's almost like a double loss. You know that you're right, and then you get trumped on something that it's not debatable.
And you're like, yeah, and then that's when we sit down, that's one of our biggest things. And she's always like, probably our biggest divide is how we parent. I completely disagree with how she parents our kids in a lot of respects. And we just don't see eye to eye on that. And then then what happens, we're getting into a big fight in front of the kids, and you can see there's no cohesion, and and I'm like, she doesn't see. I'm like going, look, you got to be a united front.
Gotta be.
And let me tell you
I'm like,
this.
you're really undermining me. And I'm like, so that's why I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. You deal with the kids. And when they got problems, it's your problem.
The kids
And I won't know their teachers' names.
Yeah. Well, that's almost it, because it's like, what else can I do? It's
Yeah.
like, you got me in a bad spot here.
But kids will see that divide, and,
I know.
and if there's something that he knows he needs to go to mom about that you're not going to like, he's going to go to mom.
Yeah.
And vice versa. I mean, I did it with my parents.
It's the number one thing is parents, you got to be on the same page, and you got to find that common ground. And even if there's sometimes you don't agree with what the other parents are doing, you still got to be there on their side, and talk about it later behind closed doors.
Yeah, it's not good. I don't think if the kid is able to make a side deal with the parent and it trumps the other parent. I don't think that's a good.
Yeah,
thing.
and they all kind of know that. They're like going, they're like, hey, they just know as long as they're not in trouble with mom, then they're good. So that's kind of it. So that's why I'm like, you know what, you parent them then. I'm gonna go over here in the corner and drink.
Damn. Shit got real on a Friday.
It always gets real on the podcast.
Well, and then the whole thing. So it's like I'm sitting there and I'm watching, this thing with Cannon, and he's talking about heroin and what it is, and you're like, okay, this is a teachable moment as a parent.
Yeah.
And you're like, because the thing that they did and what they had is like I was trying to graze over it, and he's astute. He's almost 9 years old.
As he's gotten older,
He's picking up on it.
Yeah, he's very observant.
Even the way he's just talking, he's very outgoing now. He
is.
wasn't like that 2 years ago.
He has the maturity more, and I know just because of the ages. I'd say he's more probably the maturity level about a 12-year-old is probably about where he is, just with the stuff that he's seen and having older brothers and sisters and all that
Gotcha.
stuff.
Plus, it's a different time too. Technology, a lot of shit's available.
It is, yeah, and you're trying to stay on it. I'm trying to cut him off of the past as much as possible, but like I said, he gets, his sister took him to school for 2 years, and I don't.
Who knows what happened during those rides?
Right. Well, I know the music she listens to. I'm like, don't listen to that music with him in the car, and.
Fuck, motherfucker, fuck you. Like she pulls
Yeah,
in.
you put on A$AP Rocky, fucking problems, and Cannon's like every word. Oh, wait a minute, motherfucker. He's very good at he doesn't say bad words, and he knows what are bad words, and he's like, I don't want to hear bad words, and I like bad words, so I appreciate that. And
Would that break your? Let's say we're at an event, and then Cannon drops an F-bomb in front of like 11 listeners. How do you A, handle it, and B, how do you feel?
I would talk to him. I would pull him aside afterwards, and I kind of
do you do it in front of people? Do you scold them?
No. I usually would talk to him afterwards. And
See, she scolds in front of people. I've seen it.
Yeah.
I do, because I think it's more effective if it's really something bad. Now, if it's not that big of a deal, I'll say something after, and I would scold her in front of you guys.
Sure.
I probably wouldn't scold her in front of, like, say, our boss, Elizabeth.
Yeah, I hear you. It gets uncomfortable for the people that's not in the family. If you start yelling at your kids or a fight happens and you're just kind of sitting there, it gets uncomfortable for that person.
I do a lot more of that. I just sit and talk to him, and I say, hey, look, I'm like, let me talk to you about what you did, the words, and let me tell you why it's not a good idea. I don't want to be that, like, just because.
Yeah, you don't
say
seem like like
curse
a
words.
yeller.
No, I'm not a yeller.
Unless you get some vodka in him.
Yeah. then I'm a hitter.
Then he'll smack you.
Then I hit my children.
Oh, yeah, get some whiskey in them. Forget about it, can it? No, I'm kidding.
And so, we're watching the whole episode, and the thing that he picked up on, I kind of was grazing over the heroin. I'm like, it's just a really bad drug. It's something you shouldn't do. And he's like going, yeah, but the guy made the comment, it felt like the first time. He's like, what does that mean? So I'm like, oh my gosh, now I got to go higher level heroin.
Really detailed.
And I said, it is a drug where it makes you feel a certain way the first time, and every single time after that you do, you're not going to feel as good, and that's where it traps you. And I said, so just doing this drug, or really any drug one time, you get hooked, and it just slowly kills you, and it ruins your life, and it gets you off focus of what your life is supposed to be, and that's why drugs are so bad.
That's a good description.
Yeah, and I mean, is it too over the top to even bring in death?
No, I mean, I said that. I said that is your first step down the path of death. And I said it will take you and drag you to the grave. And I said, and what, God had intended for you in your life, you're not going to be able to do. And I said, that's why you stay away from drugs.
Yeah, I do too.
I think that is a teach. I think sometimes that's what I don't understand, because when parents get mad at stuff, and I know I don't have kids, but I was a kid at one point, so I can kind of speak on it. You can't control everything that they're going to see when you go out in public. So why not just go ahead and explain that's not the right way to do things, and make that a teachable moment like you did?
So I'm riding high because, I felt pretty good about that. And I'm like going, okay, I think I made an impact. And then Cannon drops on me, but Dad, you do drugs.
Oh, shit.
What?
Dare, the alcohol, the beer.
I'm like, what do you mean I do drugs? He's like, you drink beer.
Yep.
And I'm like,
Dare gets you all the time, man. Dare makes the kids think. And you're going to get an email saying, beer is a drug.
yeah. So
But beer is not a drug.
It's a mind alteration, and it changes your chemistry.
and I'm like,
And it's considered a drug, believe it or not.
yeah, I'm
Well,
like,
it's not.
But now you're going against, okay, if you want to fucking fight the people of Dare, I'd love to hear that call.
Bring it, Dare.
so
I
this
dare
is,
you.
I handled heroin like a charm. Here's where I fall apart.
You went through heroin. You came out
Breeze through
unscathed.
heroin.
Well, he's a fan of beer.
Dad of the year. Dad of the year over here. Look at how I talk to my kids about drugs. What a winner. Then he hits me with the beer, and I'm like,
It's different. It's not like heroin.
I'm like, even though it might be categorized as a drug, Cannon, I said it is legal and you're allowed to do it, and there's nothing wrong with it. I said even in the Bible they have alcohol. I said Jesus' first miracle was he turned water into wine, and it wasn't alcohol-free wine. I said, so, that will let you know that, within reasonable amount, you can do that. And he's like, but Dad, you get drunk all the time, because Kim's always joking about how I'm drunk, and she keeps planting that into the kids' heads.
Yeah, I have noticed that he does say that out in public.
Yeah, and he said that one time he was on the show about getting drunk, and I'm like, well, would you stop joking about that? Because you say like I'm drunk, and so he thinks if I have like a beer or two, I'm drunk.
No,
Right.
that would annoy me. That would bother me.
It
not
does.
cool.
It's not
Well,
cool.
and
Well, I mean,
you're-
God, you fucking work so hard.
Right.
A little, just
And
a hair of
So now
respect.
you're like going, I'm going to have to completely cut every bit of alcohol, even just a beer here and there, out, because he's seeing it and he thinks, okay, Dad's had a beer, now he's hammered.
It'd be cool if that didn't happen and there wasn't being things fed.
I've said, look, she's like, I'm just joking. I'm like, yeah, but I don't think he sees it that way.
He does
really-
not
No.
see it that
He
way.
really thinks
he is
that-
a child. Children are literal.
Yeah, he thinks that I am I'm drunk all the time. And my mom was like going, how much are you drinking, by the way, after you heard that?
He said to your mom.
No, he said it on the air. Remember we had him on the air and he
yes,
talked about
yes,
it, and
yes.
my mom texted
Your
me
mom
immediately.
heard it.
She's like, how much are you drinking?
Side note, though, that was a hilarious bit.
Yeah,
that was
thank
a
you.
funny
Yeah,
segment.
so I have to, deal with my mom, and I'm like, look, it's kind of like
I'm fine, Mom.
yeah, I'm like, I have, I said I never try to have ever more than like 3 in a day, usually 1 or 2 per sitting. And I said, I do this maybe twice a week. I mean, probably the grand total on a normal week, I have 4 to 5 beers.
Look, if anybody needs a drink that
Yeah.
I know, it's
and
Kevin Ralston.
And I love the taste of beer. I do. It's just the one thing that I like. And I'm like, so I'm not getting like, they're
Look,
making
Bronk,
it sound like I just every night I got these benders and
I don't know why it's got to be so hard on you. I wish it
It's
would
just
be
tough,
easy
yeah.
for you, man.
You're right.
I,
You
It's
can't-
not.
I think
can't
you're a
find
good
peace.
dude. I think you should have some peace when you go home.
yeah. So, like I said, but you do have that fear, talking about the fears of being like a bad dad. And you're trying your best. You're going, I'm flawed. There are flaws. I'm not perfect.
We're all flawed.
We're
my
all
man.
flawed. Another one of the big fears Am I losing my health? Do I have cancer?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I always think I'm dying of something.
Yeah,
Always.
You're always kind of like seeing that, and the whole cancer thing is you see that, and it scares you. And I saw this today, which was rather interesting. They had said that 2/3 of all cancers are genetic. Doesn't matter what you do, because you ever see that person that they're like a
2/3.
2/3. And they're a vegan, they're a this, they're a that, they're a whatever, and they get cancer. Like, how did that guy get cancer?
Well, that's why
he never smoked, never did nothing. 2/3 of them are genetic disruptions in your cellular mutations, and what happens? It's already in your DNA.
Wow.
And that's how you get it. 1/3 is by you're smoking, you're
doing it to yourself.
whatever it is you're doing, and all those things we're trying to prevent. And they said still do that, because you cut out your cancer chances by 1/3, which is still great, but 2/3 of all cancers are caused by genetic things, not by whatever. And you're like, wow, that blows your mind.
I know Alan Thicke didn't die of cancer, but just the fact that he was so healthy and relatively young, that story really affected me. Everybody loved that guy. He was such a nice person. And then he's playing hockey out of the blue. It depresses me, but it also makes me think, look, man, life is short. Enjoy every moment.
You're right.
It is the truth.
Let me see here. Another fear. Am I going to lose my job? I think it's one of the top fears of men.
I can see that for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think for a lot of us. Do I make enough money? And that's probably, even somebody who just sent us an email. We're going to have to probably get to it later. But, they're right now having that debate. We got one kid. And do we have more? Or do we stop at this one? And that, I know, family planning, that's a big thing. Saying, okay, hey, we have a good life. We got one kid. It's great. But if we had two, it's going to cut into this. Less vacations, less this, less eating out, less all that kind of stuff. Do we go for that extra kid?
I got a buddy that has 2 kids and they had a third. He's like, no, it's a blessing, but fuck, man, I really liked having just 2 kids. He was really, he's celebrating life, but
the game, yeah.
He just knows it's gonna be.
It is.
It's gonna be tough. He's got to work longer. He just knows he's got to battle.
Another biggest fear of men: am I getting old? I said pretty much at every age, you're always looking for those signs. And even if you're like, oh, no, it doesn't bother me, but you still think, okay.
I think it's a human thing. I don't even think it's a man thing. I think people, who wants to get old and not, feel younger again?
Mm-hmm. Have I accomplished enough in my life? Am I doing the most with what I can?
Oh, yeah. No, that'll keep a man up.
And then somebody said, is my significant other sexually satisfied? Those are the 7 biggest fears of men. They say, and I was like going, yeah, that's...
Is my peen enough? And I don't know.
We may never know.
It's enough for Denny's. That's enough.
Well, if you like doing drugs like I like doing drugs... Jose sent this email and said, hey, if you haven't already, y'all need to try out the Riverside Market in Fort Lauderdale. Absolutely. If you're in Fort Lauderdale and you're beer drinking, you don't know, it's almost a shame on you, because that is a fantastic place. And if you're from south of Lauderdale or north of Lauderdale, you need to go check it out. The Queen and I, whenever we're there, we always make a stop. It's well worth it. And it's hidden back in a neighborhood, and it just kind of looks like almost an old fishing shack kind of building.
Oh,
you go in
I
there,
love that.
and it's just got these coolers like what you would see like if you walked into a racetrack or sort of like that, and you go in there and they've got all different kinds of craft beers, and they have got bottle openers on strings just hanging from the ceiling, and you just pull it out, you sit down, they've got old sofas, the furniture there is just ratty and whatever, but you sit down, you just chill on a sofa, you pop open a beer, you sit there, and at the end of it all, you just take your bottle caps up and you hand them the bottle caps, and that's how you pay.
Very cool.
It's a very cool concept. The owners are very smart. In fact, they are in a partnership with the new one. I think it was the Tilted Kilt on New River down there just went out of business.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, but the people that own the Riverside Market, they're in a partnership with another group, and they're going to be putting a place in there that sounds like it's going to be great and successful.
At
nice
that
restaurant.
spot?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great spot. Oh, it's beautiful right there.
Said they have a huge selection of beers ranging from different regions and alcohol levels. It's perfect for anyone who is not sure what their favorite type of beer is yet. And they have great pizza and hoagies. They have a unique concept where you drink what you want and just bring your bottles up to the cashier when you're done to pay on the way out. There you go, like I was talking about. It's 608 Southwest 12th Avenue. So you plug that in, 608 Southwest 12th Avenue, and you have to. If you do
You
not,
wouldn't find
if
it.
you not plug that in, you wouldn't, because it's like I think it's like maybe Broward Boulevard. You get off Broward Boulevard, you go east, and then you take a left, and then you take a right down this one street, and then you take another left, and you keep driving all the way back to like a canal. And just when you think I'm lost and I've completely screwed it, you take a right, and you're like going, that's it? And you will have that effect, be like going, this is it?
Huh.
But get out, go in, sit inside, and you'll be like, okay, this is kind of cool.
I love it.
Yeah. You will have that, this is it?
This is it.
Yeah. And just to let you know, Tom said, hey, maybe I'm a little bit late to the party on this topic. It was already discussed, but I found out last night that Wellington's World of Beer closed. I know this was one of Kevin's comfortable drinking spots. Imagine rolling up to a vacant building, tables, chairs, signage, everything gone. Apparently the doors shut 2 weeks ago. Sad times. I went the first weekend. They had closed. And I go out, and I was almost like, I did like a weird thing because I was there, and I like tugged at the door, and the door went open, like tugging harder. I'm like, almost like I couldn't take it.
Aww.
Like it wouldn't settle. I was like, no! Oh, God, no!
That happened to our liquor store in
Yes.
Village.
I know,
I went to go
yeah.
get some fucking vodka the other day. I'm like, oh, I just need a drink.
Like that guy.
I did the same thing. I'm like, please, no. open.
I know. Had that as well.
Aw.
Where's a liquor place in West Palm now? I didn't buy vodka.
Were you trying to lick it and stick it?
Yeah, myself.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably got to go to like, there's an ABC Liquor that is on Blue Heron. That is right off of 95.
Okay, right around the corner.
But it's not bad. They
Okay.
have really
All
good
right.
selection.
They
yeah.
do. I mean,
Yeah.
ABC might be putting these small little places out of business.
Got ya.
ABC and Total Wine, it's like a Walmart of booze.
And every time I go to Total Wine, doesn't matter what time of day or what day of the week, it is jumping in there.
You should sign up to be in their rewards club. I signed up and they send me coupons. They keep track of how much you spend and then they give you like $10 off when you
Yeah.
get to a certain level.
Denny's is getting on me about always being a reward because there's places I go and they offer and I never take them.
You should take them.
Seems like a big thing.
If they make it easy for you, which a lot of them, if they're smart, they make it easy for you. Total Wine, you just give them your phone number, and that's how they track it. You give them your phone number when you're checking out, and they, boom, add it to your account. They send you coupons.
Yes.
I'm going there today. I have a $10 off coupon.
Okay, it kind of sounds big, doesn't it?
It
A lot
does.
of steps. I don't know.
No, you'll be fine.
No, he won't.
Got this email. This is Mauricio and Vanessa. We're listening live on a train from Paris to Amsterdam.
Wow.
We're in Brussels at the moment. Unfortunately, we'll have to disconnect and switch to podcast. Love you and Bigfoot is real. That's pretty
I
cool.
wonder if I know that guy.
I don't know.
I know that. I think I know him.
Okay.
Be safe, old friend.
Yeah, there you go. It's kind of fun. It's just cool, though. It just goes to show you, yeah, you can listen wherever. And I got a good friend in Brussels that listens to us like every day. So, Olivier.
Olivier.
Oh, I love that kid.
Intern Olivier.
Yeah, no, it's great. That's why we do the KVJ Nation map. Where in the world is KVJ listening? And if you are listening somewhere outside of South Florida, I have someone in Delray that just can't get the concept and they're mad at me. And they're like, well, why won't you put me on the map? I'm like, no one in the broadcast.
Fuck you, Kevin.
I'm not good enough to make the map. I'm like, it's not. If you can listen to us on 97.9, we're not at it because it would be too many. And
Oh, go do drugs in front of your kid, Kevin.
yeah, pretty much. Just can't win it. It's just, I don't know. I've tried and tried. But yeah, if you're outside of that area, I mean, you can be like in Tampa, Key West. Why Key West? Because you can't get the broadcast signal there. We'll put you on the map.
I hope Suits put a star on New Orleans. I told him like a month ago.
Okay.
Well, you're the star snack bar.
Couple of birthdays. Here's somebody from Santa Barbara, California listening. Start every day at work with the podcast of your show. Some funny shit, especially when Jerby has a meltdown and calls out Denny's for comfort.
He's like your whoopee.
He is. He's my human whoopee.
I'm turning 26, and I like and can I get a little excitement with a Dingleberry chant? My last name is Barry. It's Scott Barry, and that's where the nickname came from. I just let people know it's because I'm kind of the shit and always hanging around somewhere.
Ah.
So there we go. Dingleberry, Dingleberry, Dingleberry. And he says, stay weird, putos. Someone pie Jaybird with a pudding pie. So there you go.
Yeah, I won't do it. Heartless.
I'll do it.
Bring that shit on. I'm trying to get you guys to do something. I'm pieing you. I'm doing battle raps.
Maybe I'll do it on Sunday. I'll act confused and thought it was Pie Fest instead of Pride Fest and pie your ass in front of hundreds.
Oh, I hope you do. You ain't got the onions.
Megan also said, my sister and I love the show. We've been listening for years. One of our favorite segments was Denny's story from a stoner when he told his blockbuster poop explosion story.
Yeah, we got to figure out a way to get Denny's back in here, at least on a Friday, telling some kind of... He's so good.
Oh, I know. He's a great storyteller.
He's got to figure out what the hell... I'll just let the fucker come in here and just be.
Just be.
Can you please wish my sister Christine a happy 25th birthday during the podcast? Her birthday is Sunday. There
Happy
you go.
birthday!
Happy birthday, Christine.
Yeah, very nice.
Big
Well,
2-5.
happy birthday. Yes, yes, yes. Well, that's going to do it for us for today. Sorry, I went a little bit late here today.
Don't ever be sorry for that.
This got real. And you'd like to add to it, mail at kvjshow.com. Thanks so much to Bud's Chicken and Seafood.
Ooh,
the cod that'll rock your bod.
It is the cod that will rock your bod. We're supposed to be doing a little, one of the jingles we did, not one of the ones that you did not like, the one you did like. We're going to be doing that. You guys are more than welcome to be in the video if you want. I figured Mags and Rocco could be in it.
Which store?
I'll give you the... I got to still talk to Philip. We're working out the details.
Okay, on Sunday, though, after Pride Fest, can we please go get buds together?
Yeah, we had it yesterday. Gleb from that came in from KVJ Nation.
Yeah, he listens to us in Switzerland.
He was down visiting, and him and Denny's went to Bud's Chicken yesterday. He tried it for the first time, and he loved it. And
Cool.
I love when people tell me they haven't tried it yet and they're going.
That's awesome. We got pictures yesterday. I was getting them from social media. I had to come to Bud's
Yeah.
because y'all keep talking about it.
Yeah.
So good.
Very nice. All right, y'all. You guys have an amazing weekend. We'll talk to you later. Don't forget to check out Denny's. He is going to be at Metro PCS.
Denny's!
Yeah, I want to get all the information. It's on our Facebook page, and it's also at kvjshow.com.
All these people are going to go there and bring them weed. I've seen it happen before.
You don't want to go out more often. He'll go out for free. Just pay me in weed. All right. We'll talk to you later. Goodbye.
Cleveland Clinic, Florida provides individualized treatment plans for excellent outcomes of health problems, ranging from the most common to the most complex, even in cases considered untreatable by others. Cleveland Clinic, Florida. Every life deserves world-class care.